All right, welcome back to another episode with Omni Garage After Hours. So here in front of me, I've got Maz from Garage Therapy. I sort of messaged him over Instagram over a couple of weeks ago, and I've invited him to come and talk on the podcast. And part of the reason is Glenn is in China at the moment, so he's been on a family holiday. He is on his way back from China, so I thought it'd be a great opportunity to meet one of the brands that the House of Rags are carrying, Garage Therapy. And so, Maz, thank you for joining me on this episode. I know you're in the UK. This is nighttime for you. This is 8 o'clock at night for me, for you, and it's 7 a.m. in the morning for me. So
Yeah. Good
appreciate
morning.
appreciate the commitment to see me today.
Yeah, my pleasure, and thanks for having me.
So, are you based in London?
I am. Yeah.
Right.
So based in London, Garage Therapy. We're based in Epping, which is effectively just the outskirts of London, North London.
Right.
Effectively.
I did some work in London, and so all I know is the M25 ring. Right. Anything outside of that, I don't really know too much about.
Yeah. So we're sort of on the northeast-ish section of the just outside the M25 as a company, and me as a individual, I live just inside the M25. So
gotcha. So do you have to commute in and out to the office, or you work from home, or?
Yeah, so it takes probably around 40 minutes to commute in. If there's no traffic, which is a rarity in London,
Yeah,
then it will take me 25 minutes because I can just shoot up the motorway. But I normally take the back roads because that's more fun and less chance of there being a big traffic jam.
Yeah, because you're outside of the tube line, and you're sort of probably outside some decent over rail stuff too, are you?
It just wouldn't make sense to take any of the public transport to get to our industrial estate where we are, basically. So yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about the brand of Garage Therapy. How do you get to the company name Garage Therapy?
Right. So the company. So okay. Now we're going to get into the weeds of it. So the company name came about from Roger. So we sat in my front living room, and we decided that we were going to create a brand. And one of the reasons why we decided we were going to create a brand was because I had contacts in the raw material industry.
Yeah.
And the raw material supply chain side of that industry. And a good friend of mine effectively said, I've got contacts, chemists, I can get you in. So we decided to start the brand that way. That's the incredibly short version of the story. I can go into more detail later on in terms of exactly how we started. But the name Garage Therapy resonated with us because one of a really good friend of mine that I worked with would be 20 years ago now, Ash, he used to work for Microsoft. So I don't know if you're familiar with like the Windows Aero interface that got introduced in Windows Vista. He actually helped design that interface. And he had a doctor in heuristics, so he knew branding, he knew graphics, he knew logos, he knew like back end website design.
He was all the marketing stuff that you need for a brand, right?
Absolutely. And as a favor to me, he was one of my really close friend of mine. He said, look, I'll do a proof of concept because he was a highly successful individual. And he'd done this brief that was a dozen pages long on what Garage Therapy means, what the brand could look like, what the vision of the brand could be, based on a 3-hour discussion that we had with him and Roger. So once he gave us this effectively like a proof of concept document, the name Garage Therapy really made sense. It really resonated with us and identified what we were aiming for. Because it's not just, on the face of it, it's cleaning cars, right? It's making something that's dirty clean. But a lot of us, that's an opportunity to spend more time with your car. Certainly in America and some places in the UK where you're fortunate enough to have a garage, that's where you're going to spend the time cleaning it and polishing it and waxing it. And
some of us
getting away
spend way
from the
too
wife
much
and
time there.
kids. Yeah.
Totally. And so the name garage therapy, is it just because garage, you're doing some therapy in the garage? Is that how you get to that name?
Well, it's quite a therapeutic task cleaning your car,
Yeah.
especially if you like your vehicle. If you don't like it,
Yeah.
then it's a chore. But if you really are into the automotive, motorsport and things like that, it's an opportunity to spend more time with the vehicle. And when
Totally.
you're cleaning it, there was what I believe now is a little bit cheesy, I guess, but it was almost like you're cleansing the car's soul when you're cleaning it. You're washing it away of its sins and all of the hard miles it's done getting it ready again for the next drive and the next adventure. And that's
isn't that
where the therapy aspect of it came in for us.
totally? It's quite a weird feeling. Like if the car's quite dirty and you're like, oh, I haven't cleaned it, I haven't put much love into it. You almost feel like the car is not worth anything anymore, and it's almost like it's broken. There's always something wrong with it. But you give that car a good clean, and you're like, yeah, I like this car. Nothing wrong with it. It's perfect again.
Yeah, and there's a satisfaction that only, I guess, car nuts or detailing minded people would appreciate is, if you know that you've cleaned all of the door shuts and the hinges and they're all immaculately clean, because that bit has been cleaned, and every other aspect of the car, you feel better about the car and you feel better
Absolutely.
about yourself because it's perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And almost it's like a what am I trying to say? It's like an excuse, if you've got a dirty car. It's like, I don't mind if the car gets dirty because that means I get to clean it next week, and I don't mind if it gets dirty again because I get to play with all the chemicals and go again. So a dirty car is an excuse to have more therapy in the garage, right?
Yeah, and it gives you instant gratification, which is a type of therapy for people.
Yeah.
I was before, well, I say before, during and before garage therapy. My expertise is in computer science, and I spent 20 years in IT in various different fields, and I loved helping people. I loved solving problems, whether it's infrastructure or software or AI or you name it. I've done it in the past, but there's always that gratification that you've either created something or you fixed something. And I liken detailing to that. You're always maintaining or fixing something, getting something from dirty to clean. And that is a form of therapy. That keeps people's minds
totally
refreshed.
It can almost be like a step back from your daily working week. I definitely noticed that, if I want some downtime, it's like I pull the car out and I clean it. I don't put the camera on. I don't do anything. It's just me cleaning a car, and that's my sort of, week's worth of release from all the stress that's happened,
Yes, I mean, I was just speaking to obviously Roger, my business partner and co-owner of Garage Therapy last week, and I was saying, I don't know if I've got the energy to do another round of testing. We work with our chemists, and we get samples and new strains and variants that we need to test and benchmark, and you're either doing it on test panels and various different substrates we have, and lots of different vehicles that we have out in the field, for environmental testing. And just going through the process, through the methodology of testing is hard graft, especially if you do it properly and you collect the data. And I was saying to him the other day, if you said to me this week, this is what I'm going to be doing, I won't look forward to it because it's very repetitive.
Yeah.
If on the weekend I'm getting ready to go to a show and I've got to get the car clean, that's a totally different experience. I look forward to it. I love spending 2-3 hours cleaning the car. I wash the car almost in slow motion because I enjoy. Yeah,
I need
I
to
enjoy
preserve
doing it.
this for a little bit before I get back to
Yeah,
having to do this for a work type purpose, right?
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you sort of touched just earlier on about your IT based background. So you've done IT for a long period of time. That was your main job for the most of your career, doing IT?
Yes. So yeah, when I came out of university, my first interview I had was with an IT company. I got the job, luckily, so I didn't have to wait
Yep.
too long. And I was in IT ever since then. However, in 2006, I met, actually a year before 2005, I met Roger through a local car club because I just bought my first decent car, basically.
Yep. What was the
And
car?
it was a Seat Leon Mark One. Now,
Hmm.
Seats aren't that big outside of Europe,
Yep.
but what they're effectively a VW or an Audi in drag. So the Seat Leon Mark One was big in Europe because at the time they were doing really well in the British Touring Car Championship
Yep.
and in the WTCC Championship. So it was like, it wasn't mainstream, but it was the hot hatch at the time.
Yep.
And I had one, and I saw this black similar car to mine driving around my area, and I was like, oh, who's that? And we just sort of ran into each other online randomly
Yeah.
on.
Okay. Yeah.
And I just said to him, are you this person I've been seeing in this area? And he was like, yeah. And he goes, oh, I live a couple of miles away from you. I'll pop over on the weekend. And that the rest was history. You know, we became
Yeah.
real good friends, and we were modifying the cars together, and then modifying the cars together. He was an engineer, so I needed his help on some of the
Mm.
mechanical side of modifying. And that extended into cleaning cars, and I had this harebrained idea that I want to learn to machine polish because I couldn't afford at the time to get it done by a
Yeah.
professional detailer. And being, I guess, a geek, I just dived straight into detailing. And I sent 3 what I would describe as essays to Mike Phillips in the States.
Mm.
So I found his email address. I don't know if he was at Maguire's at the time or not, or whether he just left Maguire's. Can't remember. But I sent him 3 long emails, and he responded back to them. And funnily
Yeah.
enough, I saw Mike Phillips a couple of years ago, and I said to him, do you remember this guy who emailed you? And he didn't remember, but
Yeah.
but he goes, did I respond? I said, yeah. And he goes, he seems shocked that he
There
responded.
you go. I must be
But
feeling good that
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I credit him for really changing my
Yeah.
perception of what detailing is and what it should be. And that effectively got me to the rabbit hole, and being quite technically minded. I did a lot of reading, I did a lot of practicing. I started looking at, you know, painting cars, and I really went down the rabbit hole, and I got quite good at it, as did Roger, and we turned that into a business. So
Yeah.
not 9 to 5, we were going into London, into the city, doing our IT jobs, and Roger's a
Mm-hmm.
structural engineer. And in the evenings and on weekends, we'll be detailing people's cars. And at the time, word got round on the forums. You know, we were effectively on the same forums that Jim White was on, and
Oh yeah. White from White Details.
yeah, and when he
Yeah.
first started out as well. So, and we started detailing, um, and it became quite a successful business, to be honest with you. We were really busy, and it got to the point whereby we were detailing quite high-end cars. We were insured as well, which is
Mm-hmm.
a sign of a professional detailer, I guess.
Yep. Correct.
And we had to make a choice. Do we leave your corporate world and
Mm.
detail, or do you carry that on? And I'm glad that we made this decision, but we decided not to not to go absolutely full time with detailing and concentrate on our corporate careers, because ultimately we were going to make a lot more money. And those of us who live in England know how expensive England is, so that was the right thing to do. So we stopped effectively in 2011. So we've done it for a good 5 years. 2006, good 5 years. And we gave it up, and my career at that point, I started doing quite well, and as did Roger. And in 2018, Roger came to me and he said, "Oh, do you want to start detailing again?" Because he just bought a new house, he just bought a new car.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Do you want to start detailing? And I need to earn some extra money." And I said, "No chance." I said, "You won't catch me dead detailing anyone else's car apart from my own." At the time, I was working for a large corporate. I had a £65 million P&L to look after. I had 200 staff. I was jetting off around the world doing various different things. I said to him, "I don't get time to see my family, let alone
polish someone's
car,
clean sick out of someone's car."
But I said, "I know this guy. He's a very good friend of mine. We can start a company." And that's how Garage Therapy started.
Right.
And we started Garage Therapy effectively as a proof of concept that turned into a full-blown business. And the rest is history from that perspective.
And so it's kind of almost like it's a compromise from you and a compromise from Roger, because he wanted to clean cars, you didn't really want to, and so you ended up somewhere in the middle by making chemicals and shipping that instead.
Yeah. So we as part of like the concept of Garage Therapy, and like I said, we had Ash who gave us that sort of initial consultation in terms of what should the logo look like, what are we about, what is our ethos. We sat down and we mapped out a 5-year plan of what we wanted Garage Therapy to be, and we did have an advantage over and above maybe certain other brands, is the fact that we did have access to raw materials and chemicals that maybe other brands don't have. The way the car care industry works is that you have suppliers. You've got lots of different suppliers of lots of different additives all around the world, Europe, etc., and they come to you with all these different chemicals. And if you've got relationships within that sector, you can get access to things that aren't necessarily in the automotive sphere. And we recognized that advantage, and we really pursued it quite aggressively. And that involved a lot of planning. Everything that we wanted to do from the beginning had to be from the ground up, had to be made from scratch.
Right.
We had no interest in white labeling, blending, private labeling, all that sort of stuff, because we didn't need to do it.
And so your contact that you've got, sort of through your 9-to-5 industry, has given you access to raw materials. These raw materials, are they coming from all over Europe? Are they coming from one location? Are you sourcing them from everywhere? What's the go there?
Yeah, so there's so the supply chain's quite deep and complex. So there's quite a few suppliers in the UK that we use. There's the suppliers in around Europe, Germany, Poland that we use, and there's even suppliers in Asia that we've used. It depends on the problem we're trying to solve and how far we go out to source these. What we realized is that whilst our chemists are pretty incredible people, there is limitations. Now, and the way I liken chemists is, it's the same in IT and software development. You're going to have experts that are really great at JavaScript, or financial experts that know certain sectors and markets really well, but they don't know everything. And it's the same with chemists. They're like chefs. one chef will be really good at cooking Italian, the next chef will be really good at cooking Chinese, the next chef will be really good at baking pastries and cakes. Not every chemist knows everything there is. So you have to, as we've developed as a company and as we've encountered problems and I say problems, I call them like industry problems that we're trying to solve. We've had to really cast our net out wide and acquire that expertise.
And so you've got different chemists on board who are helping you solve certain problems that another chemist can't do. Is that so? You're building a team around the issues you find in the industry and problems you're trying to solve, right?
Yeah, we don't say I, and when I say I, I'm talking Roger and I, as the owners. I think that the discussion about having your own in-house manufacturing capability in chemists is daft. I mean, when you as I've alluded to before, I've worked for big business, and I've been privileged to work for some of the biggest companies in the world and be around these companies and see how they operate, see how they acquire expertise, see what their whole like from concept to fulfillment is like in terms of the products and services that they're delivering. And I think the idea that you have to have a person sitting next to you or a manufacturing facility at your doorstep to validate you as a company, I think is absurd. I mean, it's people that don't know big industry and how it works.
And I get what you mean by that. That does kind of limit you a little bit to some degree. You know, you're only limited to the 3 or 4 people that you hire in the niche little area, which means you're limited to their knowledge and their experience. I mean, if you do have people and you do this outside of that sort of area, then you can hire expertise and you can then move people on as the industry develops. I guess it's pros and cons. And so, is the bottling happening at the chemist place, like an off-site area? It's all happening at Garage Therapy, your own?
Correct. Or? Yeah. So we do all of the bottling, the labeling. We do all of the design of the labels. We do all of the everything that Roger and I have expertise in. That we do. All of the IT, all of the, like I said, the bottling, the logistics, the marketing. We do everything that we can in house, and then we have our own chemists that we work with, and then we have obviously chemists that we use for certain specializations that we want to go into. And I'll give you an example. So we're not leather experts, and I'm going to be quite truthful. I don't have any real interest in leather. As long as it's soft and I like touching it and looking at it. So now we could invest a hell of a lot of money developing a product from scratch, which I guess goes against what I was saying a little bit earlier. Or we could speak to the industry leaders and say, can you help us work with this product? So I approached Lars from Leather Zentrum or Color Lock. In Germany, he was the owner of Color Lock. Obviously, they've been now bought by Koch Chemie, but back then he was the main man. And I said, Lars, can we work together to, create these specific products that we want to create, and use your laboratories and work with your chemist and your expertise, because they have access obviously to the tanneries. They know what works and what doesn't work, and they can effectively give us a best of breed product ready to go. And they helped us develop our leather cleaner and protectant, and we say on the bottle that it was developed by Garage Therapy and them. We don't hide it. We don't need to
totally
hide it. We're quite honest about that.
And that's good, because that's knowing where your strengths and weaknesses are and going out and saying, hey, I'm not too good at this area, but I am going to go and get someone who does know, and we're going to develop a good product together. And so that's totally fine. And I sort of see that is your products coming in big totes shipped into you guys, and that's when the bottling starts?
Yeah.
And then you're distributing it from there.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So our as a company, and so we work very closely with our chemists. So we do go to the labs and have meetings with them, see their testing, look at the synthetics testing, look at obviously how the products are being put together. We spend an enormous amount of time doing that, and at great cost to do that, because we demand it. Roger is a structural engineer. I'm an IT guy. And we push the chemists hard on solving various problems. And we're getting to the point now where I'm thinking, okay, do I need to start doing like a material science degree and a chemist degree to start really understanding things a lot better? Because I've learned quite a lot in that field in the last 5-6 years. I think I've become pretty decent at it. But it's like everyone, I guess, there's a hunger for more and a hunger for better. And I guess as a company, as the ethos of the company, we never want to stop improving. We always want to create better things all the time.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, you get to the ceiling of your own knowledge that you're getting passed around from everybody else, and then it's like, well, are we there to take this to the next level? Do I need to then go and do my own stuff to get me up to speed again? Yeah, I mean, that's a tricky thing to answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, I think we've answered the questions about how Garage Therapy is created and behind the brand and how we get here and how the product ends up in a hand of myself.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go through. I've never used any of your products.
Okay.
I don't have any products, never tried any products, trying to get my hands on the products because I believe only you have a distributor in Japan and you have the House of Rags to distribute your products, and that's it, right? No one else really outside of the UK.
And there's reasons for that. So again, when we launched in 2019, we launched with 3 shampoos. And one of the reasons why we launched with 3 shampoos was that we wanted to prove to the market that there is still innovation in that sector of car care. So moving the game on in terms of what was already existing in the market. And it takes time to develop products. I mean, some of the project cycles can take 6 months, some of them can take a year, some of them can take 2 years. Our coatings took 3 years to bring to market, and some of the later coatings that we developed took even longer than that. Things take time, so we didn't want to go into markets where we didn't have a full-ish product line. So we concentrated in the UK, and truth be told, we didn't even know whether the company was going to work really for the first year or two. You're testing the water, you're seeing what works, what doesn't work, what sells, what doesn't sell. And we didn't know if we could even fulfill what our standards were at the time for certain products. It could have been the case that if we couldn't get a product to where we wanted it to be, then that could make or break your brand, because you can't not have a shampoo, you can't not have a sealant, you can't not have this, you can't not have that. So
there's some industry standards there, isn't it?
Yeah, for a product absolutely. Line. We restricted initially where we were doing business in to allow us time to prove that the company could survive on its own 2 feet, to build a reputation, to give us time to develop these products. And as the product line has matured, as we've started getting a bit more financial muscle within the company, we've then started to branch out to different countries and regions to say, look, here's our product line now. This is what it does.
And so once you've got a product in a bottle and you've got the concept and you've tried it on your own vehicles and you're happy to sort of get this released out, what does your product testing regime look like? How do you go about really finalizing the product?
Yeah, so the development process starts way before obviously any testing occurs. So Roger and I, we spend many hours talking about what we want the product to be, how we want it to perform, what are the pros and cons of that product in the market currently, what are the problems that the detailing community is facing with these products, what are our perceived problems. There's tons of questions and deliberation that we go through when we're designing the product brief. We then have meetings with our chemists. We explain to them what we want. We talk about what the base chemistry will look like, what additives we need to use, and they will then obviously go away. And if there's some research and development that we need to do in terms of reaching out to suppliers, talking to them about different maybe additives that could achieve, whether it's water contact angles or whether a surfactant is more cationic to the surface than another surfactant. We do that research and development. We speak to people in industry as well. So as an example, we have a product called tire serum. Now, when tire serum first came out, as far as we're aware, all of the purported tire and rubber conditioning products weren't actually tire and rubber conditioners. They were just effectively just your PDMS based silicone oil tire dressings.
Okay.
And Roger, where he works as a structural engineer, and he works in, I guess, in the construction industry, he was aware that certain and he says his story a lot better than me, but when certain buildings are being constructed, they use certain rubbers in the construction of these buildings, and in the sewage industry, they use certain gaskets and rubbers, and they have to, once you put these big bits of rubber within these large complex buildings and structures and infrastructure, you can't just rip them out. It's, it costs millions of pounds to do something like that, or it's not possible. So they have to feed those rubbers and keep them clean and keep them supple,
right? Okay.
Because they dry out and crack, as do tires, right? And the rubber complexity, certainly over the last 30, 40, 50 years, has changed massively with the type of silica is being used and the various different hydrocarbons and oils that go into creating rubber. So we knew that there was these additives out there that are being used to actually penetrate, moisturize, protect rubber.
Right. So it makes sense to bring that into the car industry, right?
Correct. So as far as I'm aware, we were the first to do that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there was other people, but before we brought out tire serum, no one was interested in tire and rubber conditioners in the whole industry. Until we brought out our tire serum, and it took a year or two for people, other companies to look at that product and think, hold on a minute here, why is that selling really well? Why is everyone using that over and above ours?
Something else,
and then you start noticing, right, other brands copying your terminology, the way you speak about the product, even copying your labels and stuff like that. But that, it's part and parcel of the business.
But that's proof that's proof that you're onto something, right? That's proof that you were a step ahead, and proof that your concept's working, and that
so back to your question. Sorry, I know I'm a bit digressing.
No, you're right.
So as part of the, there's a research and development process, and going out to industry and the amount of scientific papers Roger and I have read is extensive on certain product categories. Obviously, credit to our chemists; they know their onions in terms of what they're doing. They have, because of the various relationships that we have, they have a wide reach globally as well. Speak to various different chemists and people, not just in automotive, but in different sectors as well, which gives us an advantage.
Totally.
And a small advantage. And then they'll produce effectively your first sample, and then you might get various different strains that come from that sample as you tweak and you change and you give feedback. But there's, in terms of like the testing side, we do what we would classify synthetic testing in the laboratory. And there's various machinery that we use to quantify what we're doing. We even send our products to a third party, a large third party chemical manufacturer that will test the products and verify certain things with their equipment for us as well. We have used them as well to do various types of benchmarking with their equipment against other brands and competitors that we're aiming for.
Totally, to see where you are and to see if you can push it a bit further. And
but synthetic testing, you got to be careful with synthetic testing and the gathering of that data, because that only tells you part of the picture. Then you've got your environmental testing, so your real world testing, where you have to use it on cars with true to life dirt films that you pick up from the road, because that type of dirt accumulation is completely different to the type of films that we synthetically create in the laboratory exactly in that field. And it's repetitive. I cannot, as someone who's again, I've worked for large organizations and been in artificial intelligence and cognitive technologies and software development and all that sort of stuff. When you're going through QA, or when you're doing UAT testing, user acceptance testing, or when you're just doing testing internally just to see if what you say it does, that is can be very, very repetitive. And you can you record a set of data, you get your data set, and you then sit down to analyze what the data is telling you, and you'll notice a mistake in your testing, so you have to rerun the testing. And I can't stress how soul destroying that is.
I can imagine.
So it's quite vigorous, basically, to cut the long story short of the lengths we go to.
Totally.
To for a product to be near ready to be bottled and go to market. And a good example of that, actually, just to wrap this little segment up, is one of my bugbears in just cleaning car care in general was glass cleaners. I can't stress how ever since I started cleaning cars, whether it was my dad's car when I was like 5-6 years old trying to earn pocket money or detailing, I never found a glass cleaner, not that didn't perform, but that I would go out and buy again. It was always just going from one brand to another brand to another brand,
trying to hunt for something. And I think glass is actually one of the hardest things to clean, to be honest with you.
It can be, yes. And so we wanted, I dedicated myself to working with our chemist to create a glass cleaner that really put us on the map in terms of, you thought this category was boring, well, here's our glass cleaner.
Okay.
And
all right.
At the time, in the UK we have Pro Detailer magazine, so it's a publication. I don't know if they I think they do distribute worldwide, but I don't know if you guys have got it in your
I haven't seen it over here, no.
But they've been going for many years now, and it's a really great magazine. It's a shame really that they never got much bigger than what they were, but they do some serious testing and benchmarking of the products, right, to tell the audience, look, this is the group test we're doing, this is how we've tested it scientifically with our test methods that they created, and they bought our glass cleaner and they tested it against every product that they could get worldwide. Your major brands, G Techniques, your Geons, your Stoners, your Maguires, you name it, and we won the test.
There you go.
And this effectively this little small tiny little brand from the UK won the test. So, yeah, there you go.
Oh well, you got to give the glass cleaner a go. So
Yeah.
I think brands do a really good job of explaining themselves. If you've got a YouTube channel, or if you've got good instructions on the back of the bottle, or you've got a website that works and functions really well, they do a really good job of explaining how to use the products, when to use them, when not to use them, maybe a little bit of dilutions, etc., etc. And I think what tends to happen, what I've definitely noticed, is that when these products get into the hands of people like myself, who do reviews on YouTube or do YouTube detailing and things like that, I think we tend to do quite a poor job of explaining the product, explaining how to use the product, and we're not very good at doing an actual proper review. And so Omni Garage is definitely part of this. And so I've tried to sort of peel back the layers a little bit and actually go out and speak to the brand of a company that we might use, or speak to the brand of a company that I'm interested in trying, and actually finding out the information behind the brand, the reason why the brand was created. And that's partly why you're here, partly for my own selfish insight here, is to understand why you guys have created this, and then also to then find out information about the product truly from you, the source, so that then I can then relay that information and speak about a product as honestly as possible. And so I suppose let's just start really simply. I've got just a classic car that's been driven for a couple of weeks. It's slightly dirty, and I just want to clean it. How would I go about just doing a very basic maintenance wash? How would I just well, let's just talk about your snow foam and your bucket soap. Let's just say, how do I use those two products?
Yeah, I guess my question to you is, when you say classic, what era are we talking about? Is it
No, just a normal everyday driven car. Just a
fine?
normal
So
vehicle.
a
Yeah.
modernish car, right?
Let's say
Okay.
it's got a ceramic coating on it, and
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you have to make a visual assessment of what you're dealing with, in terms of, right, if no one car is the same, because my journey to work is going to be completely different to your journey
yeah,
to work. I cover about 40 miles a day. You may cover 60 miles a day. Your journey will be maybe motorways. My journey will be A and B roads, country lanes in
yeah,
the UK. Your environmental standards, vehicle emission standards will be different to the UK's
yep,
standards, and I know that obviously various countries are signed up to various different global schemes, regulations that they sign up to. But what I'm getting at is that you do get variation between dirt films that may happen in the UK, as opposed to, and dirt films that will happen, let's say, in Europe or in Asia or in America. The and to quantify that, salt, as when in the UK, when they used to salt the roads 20, 30, 40 years ago, the salt composition was quite basic. Now they're adding a lot more different stuffs into the salt mix effectively. So you're not just getting your sodium chloride, your magnesium chloride stuff, you're just getting other stuff that they're adding into it. So the dirt films, what I'm getting to is that the dirt films and the types of dirt accumulation can vary from country to country, region to region. This is not me saying my dirt is different to your dirt, right? But it's as a detailer, you've got to understand your environment. And I'm going to digress a little bit again. So sorry for not answering your question directly straight away. So I know that in the Scandinavian countries, they have a big problem with bitumen, tar on the roads.
That's so like us, to be honest here.
There you go. So the way that they would approach cleaning a car will be quite a bit different to the way people in Britain and England will approach cleaning a car, to a certain respect, because they've got to deal with that tar problem that they've got. So
Yeah.
how do you use our two products? You mentioned Snow Foam, you've got Citrus as well. Our instructions are quite comprehensive. Roger and I, we write all these instructions ourselves. We take.
I've got the website right here, so I can see that it's very,
we take a lot of pride in the label, in terms of, so we give a quite a detailed description of what the product is, and even within that description we give clues as to how you can potentially use the product as well. Rather than spelling it out necessarily in a 1, 2, 3, 4 step fashion in the directions. So one of I always say you start with the least aggressive dilution ratio first for the Snow Foam. You decide whether you want to use it as a Snow Foam or in a pump trigger sprayer, because you can use our Snow Foam both in both formats. We do add the panel impact ratio stuff on the Snow Foam bottle and the Citrus bottle, but we also give the ratios as well, because let's be honest, I mean, fine, I've figured out what my panel impact ratio is for my Snow Foam cannon, but I just follow a ratio because I know how the product performs, and I know what
I'm going to get close
expect.
enough.
The
So, impact ratio is a bit of a, you've got to sit down and fill your foam cannon up and then empty it and then work out a calculation, and most people probably aren't going to go that far anyway.
Indeed, and it might not be in your hierarchy of importance in terms of you just cleaning.
Just give me a dilution and get me close enough,
Exactly, So we always say, look, in any detailing, you always start with the least aggressive method first, and you work up. And you're going to learn quite quickly. Is the maintenance dilution ratio for our Snow Foam doing the business? Does it cleaning off the dirt film that you expect it to clean off? We've got quite a powerful Snow Foam, so generally the maintenance dilution ratio is quite adequate for most cases. But we also then give a medium dirt film, a heavy duty dirt film that you want to remove, or an extreme dirt film, and you climb up in the ratios. So it's quite straightforward, I think, in terms of how you want to use the Snow Foam. We're very process driven, I guess, as individuals and as a company. We're sort of students of the game in terms of detailing, because we were detailers as well, at quite a high level, I would say. And we're also in the weeds of the chemistry, quite deeply in the weeds of the chemistry. So we know the chemistry as well, and what it can and can't do. And that leads us to question processes and question methodologies, and break down some of those barriers that have been prevalent in the past, but with today's modern chemistry and technology and equipment isn't necessarily the best way to.
And so the process of using this, is it a spray on, rinse off, refoam?
So
is that the technique, or?
Indeed. So I'm glad you mentioned technique, because I know in the States they love their foam. I always joke with Roger and Johnny, a friend of mine. I always call it the foam tap foam, or whatever combination that they call it. But in the correct method for using a Snow Foam will be, one, you do a visual inspection of the car. You decide, depending on your environment, whether it's a hot day or a cool day, or if it's a cold day, do I need to pre-rinse the car or not? If you don't need to pre-rinse the car, i.e. you don't have loads of grit or heavy dirt film on the car, you can spray it on dry. That will then enable the surfactant to penetrate the surface, and when you allow it to dwell for 5 or 6 minutes, I don't recommend leaving a product for longer than that period of time, because then you're getting into the realms of, well, how long do you want a surfactant to sit on the surface? Because not all surfaces are equal. You've got different substrates, rubbers. You've got the componentry in the gullies of the drainage systems of various vehicles. You see, certainly with Porsches, where you get rust from the inside of the door where people have used maybe
products are going to sit there and eat away too long. Yeah,
precisely. So on the bottle we specifically state that the foam will dissipate within 5-6 minutes, which is what we want, because we want the user to crack on and do the job. But the snow foam would have done about 80-90% of its work in that time period anyway.
Right. Okay. So then you can give it a rinse.
Correct. Yeah, and you pressure wash the vehicle once it's dwelled. And then if you feel the need to re-foam the car and repeat the process, you can do. But we don't recommend using our snow foam as a contact.
Right. Okay.
Because there is quite a bit of differences between the additives that you would put in a contact shampoo and the additives that you would put in a snow foam.
Okay, so I then rinse the foam off, and now I've got your normal bucket shampoo in the bucket. Do I just go with the bucket shampoo straight onto the vehicle, or can I foam the bucket shampoo on as well? What do I do there?
I enjoy the American way of washing cars. So they will foam the car shampoo onto the vehicle. I do think that is the safest method. In terms of inflicting damage on the paintwork. So we give a dilution on the bottle, I believe. I think we say use it 1 to 9 in a snow foam cannon. Sometimes you need to go stronger, depends on your setup, your water. There's variables there you need to consider. But you can foam it on, or you can go, straight from the bucket onto the vehicle. It depends on what your preference is. If it's, there's different ways of cleaning the car, right? So you've got a car that's highly corrected, right? So minimal swirls. I used to own a black vehicle that was highly corrected, and my maintenance regime for that vehicle would be completely different to my daily car that I use. Because I'm not as precious about my daily car, and I understand that if I'm not going doing the full sort of process on the vehicle, that I may inflict some kind of swirling over a long period of time, which is part and parcel of cleaning your car, unfortunately. But you but with good technique, you minimize the potential of damage.
So we're just going to do a very simple foam on the snow foam, let it dwell for a little bit, rinse it off. Then for my contact wash, I can then foam on the car shampoo, have the car shampoo in the bucket, get into my contact wash, job done.
Right.
And we're doing that on just a lightly soiled car, not too much road film, etc. Just your classic maintenance wash.
Correct.
Sorry, I'm just going to close this blind. I've got the sun rising up over the top of the hill there.
No worries.
Okay. So now let's say I've got a vehicle that has got the month's worth of traffic film on it. It's the car that's daily driven. We've gone through, a rainy period, and we've got the road film stuck right on. And then over the top of that, we've got a little bit of mud and stuff like that. So a car that hasn't been washed for a month, I sort of want to step up the aggressiveness a little bit here. And so, I see you've got some products like citrus, and I see you've got some products like a decon soap, and I see you've also got your demineralization or your acidic shampoo. So how do I use those type of things in combo? And maybe we can also lead into maybe more of a decon wash as well, if I was going to do a full preparation for polish coating.
Yeah. So I'll start off with that. I guess the simplest method first. So the reason why we have lots of different detergents in our range is to encompass the different types of dirt removal that you can do. So and for lack of a better phrase, you got your decon shampoo is your heavy duty emulsifier, degreaser, your powerful traditional surfactant heavy, either pre-wash or contact shampoo. You've got your citrus, which you're then getting solvency power from it. So because of the limonene is a natural solvent. It tends to type of melt dirt away. The way it interacts with dirt is different to a traditional surfactant heavy cleaner. And then you have our snow foam, which utilizes a high volume of sugar-based surfactants. And the great things about sugar-based surfactants is that they attack dirt better, i.e. the static cling between the bonds between the dirt particles forming together. So so like dusty, muddy environments, it does really well in that thing. Now, if we're going to go a little bit into the weeds of the chemistry, our snow foam does contain a little bit of the limonene in there, so you're sort of getting a tiny bit of solvency power as well in there. Our citrus also contains a little bit of the sugar-based surfactant.
You got a bit of a crossover at the lower end of each.
A crossover, correct. Now, for a heavier dirt film, what I would say is you depending on your climate, so you're in winter now, so you've got a colder climate, that's where your citrus products do really well, because the surfactant and the limonene is less temperamental to climate.
Right.
And we could talk about atmospheric pressure as well, but that's really going into the weeds, because depending on how or how high you are from the sea level,
we're basically at sea level.
Can impact product performance, but that is really going into like it's not necessary for this conversation. But so I would, in your scenario, I would pre-wash with citrus, so in a pump sprayer or a trigger sprayer. I would then pressure rinse that off. I would wait a few minutes. I don't know, sip your cup of coffee or your soft drink or whatever, your water, and then go in with the snow foam when the car's not fully wet, but starting to dry out a little bit. And then the reason for that is because, one, even though you've rinsed away the surfactants, there will be some surfactants still left on the surface that are still eating out the dirt. And two, you want the surfactants to contact dry paint, ideally
surface paint,
correct, rather than interfacing with the water, which potentially dilutes it a little bit more, and the water might be a barrier to it touching the dirt. So that's a consideration as well.
And so I guess this is a no to this question. Would you spray citrus on first in your pump sprayer and then foam snow over the top to give dwell time, or that's not necessary?
So this is where I think there's a little bit of misconception as to what that actually does. So a lot of people think that when you blanket over a snow foam over top of another product, that you're allowing the product underneath to work for longer. What I think is really happening is that you're just adding more detergent onto the surface.
And are you probably start creating a barrier from each product from working, right?
Potentially, but you've got to remember you're delivering them via water, and the water will mix together as well. Potentially there's maybe a little bit of a barrier, but I think it all mixes into one slurry. And then what you're effectively doing is you're just doubling the amount of detergent hitting the surface, as opposed to one is dwelling longer than the other, therefore it's working better. So that's the scientific point of view as to.
Fair enough. And so is citrus safe? Is citrus safe for me to use every week?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's not going to degrade coating or anything like that?
No, ceramic coatings, no way. Generally, ceramic coatings have got quite a high pH tolerance. It depends whether they're, I guess, organic and inorganic coatings, the quality of the resins and the siloxanes and whatever they're using, the additives. You do get different grades. You do get different quality of coatings as well. Some will degrade more than others with frequent chemical attack. Unfortunately, it's a fact of life. Not all coatings are equal. So, but generally, no. Citrus.
What about waxes? What about waxes and
Waxes
your
where,
spray sealants and stuff like
yeah,
that?
so that's where you will get more degradation. So if you go on with a heavy concentration of citrus, then
Yeah.
yes, it will start to chip away. Certainly for waxes, maybe less so on sealants, because the chemistry now for sealants has got quite good.
Quite
Some
good.
of,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're quite resistant to
But
chemical, aren't they?
people shouldn't be too worried necessarily about them degrading. That's what they're there
Perfect.
for, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to circle back to what you said about layering. Is there an advantage of layering a snow foam over the top of citrus? What I would say is the great thing about layering is it gives you increased dwell time. And if you're a bit slow about getting around the car, you're doing other jobs as part of that process, then that is a good process to use.
Yeah.
So if you're in a detail shop environment, you may want to pre-treat the car, snow foam it, and then start working on the wheels.
Yeah.
Therefore, having a short dwell time is not beneficial to your time and your process at that point.
And what about in heat? Like, because I know for us, what happens is we got the camera out, we're talking, we're filming, and so more time is better. So we would probably want to have a longer dwell time. And then what about in the heat? Is that going to help a little bit instead of that product drying up really quickly?
It will do, yes, because once you've dispensed, once it's in foam form, it takes longer for it to dry out. Effectively, doesn't it? So yes, certainly during the hot climates, foaming is quite beneficial, because if you're using a pump sprayer, and it will dry very quickly in liquid form as opposed to foam. So yes, to answer your question, that's beneficial.
Okay, and let's say I've got what's the scenario? Let's say I've got a car coming in for a full paint correction, ceramic coating. How would I use your decon shampoo and your demineralization shampoo? Are they both of those? I don't see the demineralization shampoo on the immediate website of yours, but I do know you do have it in some of the other sections.
That's a weakness of the company. So I maybe because I was in IT for so long, I'm not that interested in creating websites, and we should invest a hell of a lot more into our website. That's for sure. So the way I would answer that is, for us, decon is king. That's our internal saying. That's when we train detailers to be detailers and use our products. That decon is our process accelerator. So decon, aside from it being a contact shampoo, can be used like a snow foam, or can be used almost like an all-purpose cleaner. So you would have, as a detailer, you would have maybe your 1 to 10 mix. You'd have maybe a 1 to 20 or 1 to 30 mix, and your 1 to 50 mix. So you have 3 different dilutions. Your 1 to 10 is effectively your alloy wheel cleaner and your tire cleaner.
I was going to ask, because you do have a wheel shampoo, but I was going to ask about that. Carry on.
Your 1 to 20 or your snow foam mix would obviously be a different dilution for that. So 1 to 20 is effectively a 4% PR. So you wouldn't use decon in that concentration, but you'd use decon in like a 1 to 9 or 1 to 8 mix, or 1 to 10, whatever you want. And then you would also use decon in your bucket for the contact shampoo phase.
Right. So multi-purpose there. So you could foam on, let it dwell, rinse it off, go straight into your bucket wash, or would you refoam again?
It depends on the detailer.
Just
depends on the vehicle. It depends on how clean you want the paint to be.
And so there's enough lubrication in there to be a contact wash. You don't need to use shampoo for that.
I personally wouldn't. Again, it's because it's a powerful chemical. You have to, as a detailer, you have to be cognizant of the surfaces you're working on. And again, not all cars are equal. You get different substrates that are more sensitive than others. If it's some of the Asian cars have got really finicky black plastics and chrome trims, and some don't. Some are better quality, so they can resist and stuff like that. But decon is the process accelerator. So as a detailer, you would not use any other detergent. You wouldn't. we wouldn't encourage you to deviate from using decon. So you would use decon from start to finish. Snow foam, tires, wheel, contact,
Everything.
done. Everything is done.
Perfect.
Now, where DMS fits into that process is.
Oh, hang on. Before we go there, the decon shampoo, that's going to take an old wax off. It's going to take an old ceramic coat, ceramic coatings on its last legs off. How strong is it?
Yeah, it will do. Yeah,
it's really going to prepare that surface for your polishing stages.
It's hard to definitively say for coatings. So with coatings, when they're near the end of their life, sometimes the surface will be hydrophilic, but the coating is still there.
Yeah.
Even if so it may not physically strip the coating off, but it will certainly probably kill off the last remaining hydrophobics that it has.
Yeah.
And I'm talking this. I'm very cognizant of saying yes, it will, because
there'll be 3 cases where it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to mislead people into thinking that decon just going to strip coatings off, because 9 times out of 10 it won't. But certainly coatings that are nearing end of life, it probably will. Waxes, it will massively degrade them if they're old, like mid or to the end of their cycle. It will strip them off.
Perfect. All right, continue on.
And so you're then once you've contact washed your vehicle, you're then doing your I've recently changed the process. So before, I would do a fallout remover first.
Okay.
So we've got iron oxide, and then go on to do any detarring of the vehicle.
Yeah.
I've changed that around now. I do the tar first, because what I then use is I get a microfiber that I'm going to dispense with. I use the solution left in the bucket from decon shampoo. Because tar and glue removes a hydrocarbon, so its propensity to mix with water is less. I treat the car, I allow it to react on the tar, and then I use that wet rag with the decon shampoo to agitate the
clean and get it rid of.
That is, for me at the moment, the best method to remove tar, and the safest and the quickest method to remove tar during that, doing it that way, rather than drying the car completely, spraying on the tar and glue, getting a towel and then wiping it, and then having to rinse it, clean it again, etc. You then move on to your fallout remover. So fallout, and then that's where you could then introduce DMS into the process right at the end of those steps, because what the previous products won't do is remove that mineralization that's built up into the pores of the clear coat. That's really like embedded in. So your sodium chloride, your magnesium chloride, that builds up over a long period of time, that you need effectively an acid to remove from
and so you're just gonna foam this product on as well, let it dwell, rinse off?
I personally would foam it on and just give it a quick wash. At that stage,
you put it in the bucket as well, or can you just agitate with a cloth?
I would. It depends on the vehicle. Depends on if it's a new vehicle, if it's a high-end vehicle, a new vehicle, and the paint is in quite good condition, then I'll throw caution to the wind, put some in the bucket, rinse bucket, etc. If it's a car that you're going to do some really heavy correction on there, I would foam it on. I've got my rinse bucket already there from the decon, and I will just agitate.
Just wash it with that.
Just give it a quick wash, and it will be fine. Or you don't have to use DMS. You can use our water spot remover. That's my preferred method, because it's much more powerful. I spray it on the panel. I work it in with a high quality microfiber, allow it to dwell, and I'll rinse it off.
Rinse it off. Can you combine those two steps? Can I spray the water spot remover down and then foam the DMS over the top?
I think it's a waste of product.
Waste of product.
Yeah.
Cool. And then let's talk about those two shampoos again. So let's say I've got a ceramic coated car and I haven't done a deep clean for 3 months, 6 months.
Okay.
Can I use both the decon shampoo and the DMS to rejuvenate the ceramic coating?
Yes, you can use either of them. Again, it depends on your environment, I guess, and the propensity of the coating to reject certain types of contaminant.
Yeah, if your ceramic coating had failed, you're trying to work out, is it the road film that's made it fail, or is it the water spot, or is it the
salts,
salt and stuff?
Generally, salt, because salt in itself is corrosive, right? Coatings don't like salt effectively, and they can get really damaged by salt. So, if it's at that 6 month stage, I would use both of the products. So I would do a decon wash. I'd use it as as I mentioned earlier, without repeating it, and then foam on DMS, and then do like a double tap of the different shampoos effectively. But if I did decon and I saw that the hydrophobics was excellent, I probably wouldn't bother with DMS.
You'd stop there because you've sort of answered the question.
I tend to, well, we recommend to use DMS maybe once every 6 weeks anyway.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be my answer. How often should I be doing this sort of, let's call it a combo wash, to maintain my ceramic coating? You're recommending?
So you would so if you're at that 6 to 7 week mark, I would just use DMS as your effectively your contact wash.
Yeah,
you wouldn't use anything else. You can use it like a snow foam as well. It won't have the dirt removal capability as a snow foam, a citrus, or the decon shampoo. But I'm assuming that ceramic coated vehicles, well maintained vehicles, you're not looking for that type of dirt removal.
You're just looking to maintain the ceramic coating. Like over time they get clogged up and they stop failing, and then what happens is you get a client's car come back and they go, hey, look, the ceramic coating you put on 6 months ago is not working anymore. Why? And so you want to go into this decon. Well, it's really a heavy cleaning of the ceramic coating, and you're trying to work out, is it because it's full of traffic film and all clogged up, or is it because we've got a lot of minerals on the surface? And so that's why you're working through those things. And so, I mean, if you say, I'm thinking sort of around every 2 months, you'd recommend maybe doing this type of wash. Would that be right?
So
safe to say?
The biggest factor to last stage protection degradation coatings is the environmental fallout that you get from the trees, from the road, salt on the roads, etc. So you want to maintain the performance, to maintain the quality of your paint and the performance of your protective products. You should have quite a robust cleaning regime. And you should know when you're in maintenance mode and when you're not in maintenance mode. That's really key. And I don't think that's, to be honest, that's talked about enough on detailing podcasts, because the way you maintain a vehicle is completely different to the way that you're treating the coating, and completely different to the way when you're reaching that 6 months mark, what you're then doing. Here's a conversation I had. I was speaking to a fantastic guy, knows his onions, but he said to me, well, I'm going to use these products on the vehicle and I may clay the vehicle. And I did question, I said, why are you going to clay the vehicle? Because once you've applied your coating, the last thing you want to do is rub on the coating, period. Detailing is about, and credit to Mike Phillips, detailing is about minimizing the potential of damage every time you touch your car or work on your car. And the whole idea of applying a coating is to maintain the finish of the car, to not inflict swells, to negate the need to machine polish the car. Therefore, at the 6 month mark or the year mark, if you're thinking about claying the vehicle, I think, to be honest, you've missed the point of the coating to begin with. Yes, contaminants will build up on the surface. Yes, it may not feel as smooth, right? But that's the whole point, because you're
It's a barrier
delaying
between the
that
paint.
correct,
Yeah.
and you're and what you're doing is you're staving off that accumulation of dirt for longer periods of time, so that in the 2, 3, 4 year period, you then start thinking about mechanical decontamination. So when I buy a vehicle, and this should be for anyone, you should only really want to detail your vehicle in terms of claying, machine polishing, really at the 2, 3, 4 year mark. So once you've done it initially, the next time I want to be touching my car, ideally, is quite a few years down the line. If you're
And that's
not,
when I'm going to redo the coating or repolish it. Yeah.
correct. And then there's the argument, well, what is the point of having coatings longer than 2, 3, 4 years? And that's a whole discussion.
Whole nother story.
Indeed.
Because they don't look good. They don't look good that long.
Well, it depends. Yeah.
So with the what am I looking at here? With your iron oxide, I do know that you've talked about quite a lot of surfactants and stuff in that and on the website. Can I combine, like, is there enough lubrication surfactants to combine that with the clay towel or the clay mitt or the I can do those two?
Yeah, probably. And we haven't done any benchmarking on this now for a number of years, so I'm going to caveat it, but it's probably one of the most surfactant heavy iron fallout removers on the market. The reason for that is we wanted to incorporate the cleaning ability of decon shampoo. So you're getting, not only are you tackling the effectively the inorganic fallout, i.e. the iron oxide that comes from your rotors, from your brake pads, etc., but you want to tackle the environmental fallout at the same time, so you're getting effectively a 360-degree clean. And what we find is when people use iron oxide, they're like, wow, like the paint feels so clean, like, and smooth. Over and above other fallout removers, yes, because you're effectively decon washing it at the same time. And what that also does as well is it makes it more water soluble. So once you introduce water into it, the surfactants get activated and then wash away the sodium thioglycolate acid. All right, and less residue built up from the fallout remover. So there's quite a lot of advantages from our specific product. And then it also makes it an amazing alloy wheel cleaner as well. It's quite a powerful product. So
and
over
then you
and
then
above traditional fallout removal.
And then you then combine that with your clay towel and you're getting an even deeper clean, right?
Yeah, we call it God mode. So it's like so it's you're really cleaning the paint heavily when you do that.
And so there's two schools of thought, and I think Stoners came out and they made a video of an iron remover. They sprayed the iron remover down on this white panel. You might have seen the video go around, I'm not sure. And then they, you get that nice purple change. The sodium diglycolate basically changed purple, shows that we've got, I guess, iron on the surface, and then you rinse it away. And then they do that again and they re-spray the product and they say, well, hey, hang on a minute, we haven't removed the iron. And that's because maybe one school of thought thinks that you need to agitate, that you actually need to dislodge those iron particles from the clear coat with your clay towel. Do you recommend that we combine those two steps with the clay towel, or do you think that just spraying that product on, letting that reaction happen and rinse away is enough to remove the iron from the surface?
Yeah, that's quite a tough one to answer without boring everyone to death. So there's multiple factors. One is what is the concentration of TGA within the blend. Two is the propensity of the dwell time. So certain, even if a product has a high TGA content, because of the other parts of the chemistry where the product may dry out quicker or it reacts very fast, but because it's reacted really fast, it runs out of puff sooner.
You do notice that, don't you? Quick reaction, and then it stops all of a sudden.
So this was one of the most frustrating things that I found when we were developing fallout remover. So a lot of people think that having a fast reacting fallout remover is the be all and end all to the product performance, and it's one part of it, but it's not the most important part. The most important part which answers your question, is how long the product can dwell on the surface and then eat away around the jagged edges of the iron oxide particle.
Yeah.
So a lot of iron oxide, so the rust is so small that it will melt away effectively. So there'll be hardly nothing of the actual iron particle there and it'll just dislodge and fall away. The bigger, heavier pieces that you're referring to, where they said it came off and then they resprayed it on and said, there's still more there.
Yeah.
The scientific side, the chemistry side of me is saying, well, how powerful is your iron fallout remover? It could be that your one is weak and there wasn't enough juice there for it to eat away long enough for those particles to be removed. Or there is some incredibly stubborn iron particles that are really
embedded hard in there.
Yeah. Now I'm going to be honest with you. The vehicles that I see with that type of embedded fallout are work related, like vans and trucks that are near railways, near construction sites, where you're going to get that type of manufacturing, that those iron filings that are in the air. Most vehicles, I'm going to be honest, I'm really struggling to think here. The last
you don't get a lot of cars with
where I've seen an iron particle really lodged in to the paint. So I think there's two truths here. Yes, there's a benefit to claying and working in the
iron remover.
And there's also a benefit to not having to do that as well. So there is two truths to it. One thing I don't agree with is where you spray the iron fallout remover on the towel and then you start working it in. Because the volume per spray typically on a trigger head is anywhere from 0.7 mil to 1.3 for the really high end, 1.4 mil. And then if you've got like a Tolko big blaster, you're talking about 4 mil per spray, but let's not go there. But you're not getting enough volume of chemical on the surface for it to react long enough to dislodge the iron. So doing one spray of, let's say, 1.3 mil of product is not enough TGA to do what you think it's doing. So you're really relying on the mechanical action rather than the fallout remover to do the work. Which then begs the question, what is the point? You might as well just detergent
and a clay lube and use your clay mitt, right? So I guess if you want to cover all grounds and you really want to make sure the iron's removed, you dose the panel down, you let it dwell, and then you clay over the top, rinse away, and then you're done.
And I know that this is going to be controversial as well. There's a school of thought that you're going to rub that iron particle over the surface and cause loads of scratches. I will say, how many people have you known to ever report that online that's happened? Have you ever seen it?
No.
This is what now. Bearing in mind, we do a lot of synthetic.
People don't even have the capability to show that.
Right. So we do a lot
microscope stuff.
Indeed, we do a lot of, as I said, synthetics and microscope stuff and stuff like that, and environmental testing. I personally have never seen that happen. I'm not saying it can't happen; it hasn't happened. But I haven't seen that happen. Now, is there potential for it to happen? Yes. Is the likelihood that high that it will happen? Probably not. Therefore, on the balance of probability, and with our specific product, that's why we say spray it on the panel, let it do its thing, and then work it in. Because you're not really going to damage the surface.
And if you're at the stage of your detailing process, you're going to be probably polishing the vehicle anyway.
Indeed, exactly.
And so then you sort of negates the risk that you're actually going to do here. So, perfect. I like the way that product's going to work, especially with that surfactant, and then combining. It's all about combining steps for me, because at the end of the day, when you're spending 20 hours on a detail, I just want to get through the cleaning process as quick as I can. Really, I want to get it as clean as I can, because I actually just want to pull the vehicle in and get polishing, because that's where the big improvement is for the customer, right?
So that's where the garage therapy philosophy and again, Roger being a structural engineer and me having a technical background, we're always looking at the process, the ethos of detailing, the methodology. And the reason why Decon exists is it is the process accelerator. So as a detailer, you're using that one product to do everything, right? And not only are you going to save money because it's a concentrated product, there's amazing dilution ratios, but you're also not sacrificing performance because it's an incredibly powerful product. And at the right dilutions, it's also very safe product, all things considered. And as a detailer, where you're, like you said, you're spending 20 hours in a detail, you know, let's be honest, 2-3 hours of that is going to be the wet work, the decon phase, the mechanical phase, right? If you can cut that down because you're losing less products, the products you're using are working, you're not having to repeat multiple steps, that's great. And the beauty of the garage therapy system is that because there's high versatility within each product and different ways you can use it without sacrificing the performance, you as a detailer can tailor that framework around your business, and your path to completion is a lot shorter than what it would be with other product systems. So why don't we create a tire and wheel, a tire cleaner? Because Decon is as powerful as any tire cleaner is in the market.
It's good enough.
And this is where we go back to the ethos of detailing and understanding the science. Is you do not want to strip the silica and anti-zonant out of the tire. If you've got your $300-400
Michelin on there,
Pilot Cup 2 on there, right? That you know you're doing track work with. Do you really want to start stripping those oils and silica in the tire? You know, because you know we've spoken to Michelin, but the way that they composite their tires and the processes that you know is so complex and there's so many additives going in there. How do you know that you're not stripping some of that out of the sidewall? You don't.
Perfect.
And it's not necessary either to do it.
Yeah.
What people, I'm ranting here a little bit, but
no, you're right.
But
the rant is where you find all the good information.
Yeah. So what a lot of, and again, it's not really discussed. The browning effect that you get on, let's park budget tires for 1 second because they're a different kettle of fish. But the browning you typically get from a tire wall is the stress and the heat exerted on the rubber that pushes the anti-zone and all the additives to the sidewalls, right? Because of the stresses that the tire goes through when you're driving. So yes, you do want to remove some of that browning off. What people don't realize is that the environmental temperature can affect how large or small the pore size of the rubber compound is. So during cold days, you don't see as much browning. During hot days, you see a lot more browning. So when you wash your vehicle and you cool it down, or it's in the sun or it's in the shade, and you've cleaned it, and you think, why is that tire still bloody brown? If you wait an hour, you probably see that the browning effect disappears.
Right. Okay.
So why are you trying to constantly strip off the goodness?
Because you can keep going some days. You can keep going and going and going and going and going, and then it's like, well, the foam's not white. So what's going on? Is the tire's still dirty? But there you go. You've answered that question. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. And then you get premature cracking. I mean, here's another story. I took my Porsche to the Nürburgring in Germany.
Yeah.
So I covered at the time it was 1,500 miles. I did 2 days of track work, about 10 laps in total. All the cars were covered in bugs and dirt and brake dust, etc. And I was observing all of the tires on the various track cars and high performance vehicles, and even modified cars, you name it. And the type of dirt accumulation you get from a tire that's been massively stressed and heated up is different to normal road driving. You get like this white, strange grayish film. When we applied tire serum, what tire serum did was stopped some of that moisture, I would call it, or oil coming out of the sidewall.
So keeping it in there.
Correct. Which when I came home, all I did was my normal cleaning regime, and the tire was perfect. But people were commenting at the ring, even random people. How come your tires look like they, don't get me wrong, they weren't dressed, they didn't look like great,
Yeah,
but they
but still
weren't
looking relatively
horrible.
clean compared to everyone
Yeah,
else. Yeah,
and that was the
tire serum.
tire serum doing its thing. Yeah,
Nice. I was going to talk about those two products, but you've already done it, so that's fine.
there we go.
Let's. How are you going? So we're in an hour and a half. Are you
Yeah,
feeling like you need to
good.
leave, or you're
No,
all right?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah.
I do have two products I just want to talk about really quickly. Is rinseless wash.
Okay.
Tell me about your rinseless wash. Is it a polymer based? Is it surfactant based? Is it a combination?
No, so
That
for
seems to
me,
be very important to people.
yeah. So so we do have some what we would term as, they're more surfactants, but they're in the polymer category, but they're not really
Okay.
polymers, right? So there's
Yeah.
some categorization things in the raw industry that is quite funny. So our one's mainly a surfactant heavy rinseless
Yeah.
wash. The reason for that is, for me, you want the paint clean.
Yeah.
Now, our rinseless wash is a very slick product.
Okay.
Now,
Good.
I'm aware that some polymer based rinseless products use like effectively like a type of
Silica.
silicon, or to create the slip,
The slickness.
which is great. The problem
They
with
bump it
that
up a
is
bit.
the problem, yeah, indeed. The problem with that is you're sacrificing the performance of the surfactants. You're not really cleaning the surface.
Yeah.
For us at
Okay.
Garage Therapy, keeping the surface clean is of paramount importance. So,
Yeah.
and having a product that deals with some of that mineral buildup as well is of importance as well.
Okay, so it will eat away some of those salts and
It
lime
will
scale
do.
and all that sort of stuff. So
Indeed.
it's almost
So,
like a touch of demineralization shampoo in there as well, is it?
indeed,
Yeah.
precisely. So
Yeah.
our rinseless on the market, and this is what obviously our customers are saying, and other guys that use it, is it's a monster cleaner. So in terms of its propensity to, Eddie does it right in his videos where he dunks the towel,
The
he
one
lifts it
dunk
up,
test.
the one
Yeah.
dunk test, right? And
Yeah.
when he first done our one, he sort of messaged me and said, what have you guys done?
Yeah.
Like,
So it's a good clean. So it's going to leave the wash media really clean.
indeed.
Yeah.
And that is a cue towards how powerful the surfactants are in our blend and stuff.
And so you've just got a little polymer in there just to deliver a little bit of slickness. Is that the whole idea?
Yeah. We our emulsion's quite complex, so
Yeah.
I can't obviously give the game away, but the emulsion that we have in there is quite a slick emulsion. We are actually working on improving it now. We're always working on improving the product,
version 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah.
Indeed, but it's a very complex blend. It is an incredible product. As a user of the original ONR when it hit the market, massive fan of that product. We had what we were aiming to achieve with it, and we absolutely achieved it. So,
and because it's mainly surfactant heavy, it's not going to leave any protection behind. It's just a straight cleaner.
Indeed,
that polymer obviously gets destroyed during the rinsing off and the drying of it off. So,
indeed, yeah, exactly.
Which is what people like. So people get really scared about leaving too much protection behind, because then they want to follow up with a drying aid or something like that, or they want to use it to clean the vehicle after a polishing stage, or you might use it as a to remove polish residue and things like that. So it's perfect for those applications.
Exactly. What you may find, and I don't necessarily see this as a negative, but when you're washing in really humid or hot environments and you're not quick enough in the drying stage, you may get some like
polymer spots.
No, not polymer spots. It's actually surfactant sort of staining on there. Not staining, because it's not a stain. It
like a residue, like a
and that all that is effectively the surfactants that haven't been effectively wiped away. So all you can do is just get a damp towel or a QD and then just wipe off with ease.
A reactivation of it, and it just rinses off.
That is not necessarily a bad thing. Some people think it's a really big negative. It's not. It just all that tells you for our product is that it's a very powerful cleaner. That's why you're potentially seeing that. But it's a rare occurrence when that happens.
Gotcha. What's really, really interesting for me, and you don't see this a lot, although a couple of the European brands do have this, is a specific wheel shampoo. Everyone has got their wheel cleaner. It might be a spray form and you spray it on, or you might be able to play around with a few dilutions and you can foam on the wheel cleaner. But to have a specific dedicated shampoo is I would say relatively unique. So talk to me about that.
So when and big props to Roger for this. So when we were planning at Garage Therapy, we wanted to make statements with our three products.
Yeah.
Decon shampoo, we wanted to redefine what a decon shampoo was, because there's nothing really on the market that what we would call a true decon shampoo type product.
Yeah.
And we wanted to create that process accelerator for the detailers, because again, we'll plan mapping out exactly what we wanted our end-to-end process to be
Hmm.
in our system and for detailers to make them efficient. We also wanted to prove that there was innovation in the car shampoo segment as well.
Yeah.
So our car shampoo is incredibly concentrated, but its cleaning ability is fantastic. Which is, and for a pH neutral product, it's great for coatings. Again, we would classify ourselves, like, I guess, as a coating brand. So having products that maintain the coatings really well is key.
Yeah.
And the reason why wheel shampoo exists is not that we didn't obviously invent wheel shampoos. There was a couple of wheel shampoos on the market, but there was a need to have a product, one, to maintain tire serum that we were developing at the time.
Okay.
So that was we did with tire serum. You don't really want to strip it off. You want to clean it, but not strip it off.
That's really important. That's like most, wheel clean tire dressings and stuff. You don't really want to be stripping them off. You kind of want to keep them on there and just go, hey, look, I'm just going to give the tire a light little clean, and then I don't want to have to redress every time.
Yeah, yeah. That's maybe we'll have another podcast and we can talk about that in more detail. We'll be here all night on that stuff. But so we wanted we needed a specific uh product to maintain tire serum. We also wanted it to be a good maintenance product, because you don't really want to be using an expensive fallout remover every single time you clean your
Yeah.
wheels.
Yeah.
So you need, and you always, as part of best practice when you clean your wheels, you always want a bucket of a detergent to
That's how I
lubricate
like to do it.
your
And I'm
brushes.
usually
And
using a car shampoo or something that's not quite
indeed,
right. And so that's why a bucket of water is good. So that's why I'm interested in this.
so with our wheel shampoo, we had various problems we needed to resolve. One, we wanted to fix the suds dying in the bucket when the water gets contaminated.
Yeah.
Um, and two, you wanted to increase the cleaning power over and above a normal car shampoo from there, but without massively increasing the pH
Yeah.
from there. All right. And three, you want it to be safe enough so that when you have a high performance car with carbon ceramics that have aluminium bells on
Hmm.
their carbon ceramic
Yeah.
discs, or the center lock brakes, and the EVs now that come with really sophisticated technology behind, like the brake regen
Regen
360,
braking and stuff. Yeah.
and other problems, like why are um, people's pistons in their brake calipers seizing up? Why are they getting rust issues? Well, because a lot of these heavy duty cleaners are stripping away the grease that
Oh,
you've
really?
got.
Yeah.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah.
Over time, not obviously on a single application, because they're quite heavy
Yeah.
lubricants and greases that you use, but over prolonged washing, you do degrade that over time.
Yeah.
So that's why wheel shampoo effectively exists, to combat all of those factors. And because it's an integral part of the detailing process, and because detailers clean high performance vehicles, you need a solution for that.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
normal car shampoo just doesn't cut it.
Yeah.
And what you have to remember is, because our wheel shampoo is actually an incredible cleaner, all things considered. It's only a pH 8 as well. you reduce the need to then start introducing other chemicals into your maintenance
I was
process.
going to
So
ask,
it makes
yeah,
it quite cheap to
yeah.
clean your
So
wheels.
you would say this would be like a medium strength wheel cleaner, like it would get me up to the medium dude, or can I go right up to something real
Well,
disaster?
there's so many different wheel cleaners on the market. It's hard to know what is low and what is medium, if I'm honest
Yeah.
with you. So it's a hard one to answer. I personally would say it's sort of like a mild to medium cleaner.
Okay.
It's
And how
a
do I
very
make
safe
that?
product.
How do I clean the real dirty vehicle, the real dirty wheel? So I could use,
Decon
can I
shampoo. So
decon
pre-treat with
shampoo?
decon shampoo.
Shampoo.
So the professional process that we
Yeah.
would recommend to detailers is you would pre-treat the wheels as you do the body work.
Yeah.
So I can see this for this going on for hours. So there's different ways. Let's put YouTube aside. Let's talk real
Yeah.
world detailing now, right?
Yeah.
And there's different ways you can approach cleaning a vehicle. One method that is being taught in the UK by a fantastic organisation, UK Detailing Academy. So shout out to my friend Rich March and Ian Dillian. But is that you would rock up to a vehicle, you would pre-wash it first, snow
Yeah.
foam it, then to save time, you would go and do the wheels. So
Yeah.
whilst the product is working away on the surface, you're working your way
Mhm.
around the wheels. The caveat to that is that how long is your pre-wash dwelling on the car for?
Yeah.
And how quick are you going around the vehicle?
Yeah.
So there's factors in there. You'd be surprised by how quick some of these guys work and how thorough they are at doing it as well. So
Yeah.
it works for them.
Yeah.
So then it makes sense to pre-treat the wheels with your decon shampoo.
Yeah.
Pre-treat the bodywork, rinse the wheels, go in there, and decon shampoo really does knock a shitload of the off
Stuff
the wheel.
off there.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and then by the time once you then going in with the wheel shampoo, it's done most of the work anyway. And you got
Yeah.
your trigger
Yeah.
sprayer, your 1 to 10. So if you wanted a little bit more cleaning power, you just
Yeah.
quick spray.
You could just do a little spray on just for a little bit more to agitate with your brushes, etc.
Exactly. And then if you're really talking about like proper brake dust on there, then you got your iron oxide. We don't do a wheel acid. I don't think we ever will do a wheel acid. We'll let the other companies take care of that.
Go and do that and ruin your finish with the wheel acid.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're doing well. I think we've talked about your glass cleaner. We talked about your leather cleaner to some degree.
Yeah.
And then you've got a quick detailer and you've got a ceramic spray sealant, I suppose. Is it Sigma and your quick detailer?
Yeah.
So your quick detailer is going to be used for your drying aid, I suppose, give you a little bit of lubrication behind the microfiber, and that's going to give you
week or
a couple
two.
of weeks.
Yeah, at summertime you may get longer out of it, but it's quite a careful how I phrase this. I guess it's quite a weak product in terms of the hydrophobic. It still gives good hydrophobics, but the purpose of the additives that we use in there is not to detract too much away from your coating. Right. So and you want it to enhance the hydrophobics as opposed to replace the hydrophobics of
that's
the
the whole point of having the coating on, is because you want the coating to perform. That's why you put it on. The reason why you want the quick detailer is just for the drying process, just to add lubrication, essentially, right?
Couldn't put it better myself.
And I think people get really scared about that because we've made a couple of videos on this, and people go, "Oh, well, I want my drying aid to be really stout." Oh, you're not using a strong enough one if you're not using that. Well, A, why have you put the ceramic coating on your vehicle? And B, then go to a ceramic spray sealant, which is your next product, Sigma, right?
So so we have two. So each one of those products has been designed to work together. So there is some common chemistry between all three products that allow it to bond really well together. We've spent a lot of time sort of tuning the performance in terms of sheeting versus beading, which really, and because of that effort that we put in, the self-cleaning characteristics of all three products is actually quite impressive.
Gotcha.
Our customers that use our products do notice that they're getting a visual benefit to using them, not only let's just forgetting, anyone can say gloss and all that, but the actual, when the car's getting dirty, is it visibly looking cleaner than other cars using other types of products?
Yeah.
The answer is generally yes, it does, because when it rains, the dirt isn't as stuck onto the surface, so it gives an effective self-cleaning.
Yeah,
Because
totally. Self-cleaning properties is really important. That's a real selling point for you as a detailer as well to the customer. They want to know, why have I spent $5,000 having my car ceramic coated and with a polish on? Well, it's because it's going to help with your self-cleaning properties and maintain the look of your vehicle for a bit longer. And they go, yep, cool, I'll have that.
We're quite firm that beading doesn't necessarily mean protection. So you see that a lot, right? I'm adding protection on the vehicle when they spray their quick detail or their sealant on there. And I'm like, well, yes and no. We can go into that and maybe on another podcast as to why. So moving on, we have Sigma. The reason why we don't call that a quick detailer is because it's not as quick as the quick detailer, and it's a little bit more involved. It's quite an easy product to use. It gives amazing gloss levels and slickness. It's quite a stout product, all things considered, in terms of it will last 2-3 months on an application. If you stack it on itself, it will last maybe longer. And the reason why Sigma is this is because we wanted a topping product over and above the QD for our ceramic sealant, which again lasts longer. We say on the bottle, real world is about 5 months. If you're quite into detailing and you know what to look for, it actually lasts longer than that. So after the 5-month period, you won't get as good beading, but you will still notice that the surface is quite slick and it still looks really glossy and nice.
Got that shine to it.
Yeah, when you start approaching like the 7, 8, 9 month, and the beading's sort of all but gone, and you're in that slow sheeting stage, you can still tell it's on the surface. It's just not as reactive as what it was when it was fresh.
Right.
But that's testament to how stout and good the product is, because you see the YouTube test, right, when everyone's testing how quickly can I make it not be, but that isn't necessarily taking into account
a test of how long it's going to work.
Is that material still on the surface? Is it still making the surface look slick? Is it insulating the clear coat over and above? And that's for, I guess, for the brands and the manufacturers to worry about. And then an example that I gave, just to quickly wrap that up without rambling on, is we had one of the best detailers that I would say in the UK, in the country, does. His customer base is insane in terms of the vehicles he's worked on. But he had an Audi R8 came in, I guess a modern day sports car, nothing too outstanding. And he had it machine polished by him, and he didn't want to put a coating on it, so he put on just our ceramic sealant on there. He didn't know anything about our company, just bought it randomly when he was
and gave it a nudge.
And the car came back 6 months later, and he'd done his normal decon process. Again, he wasn't certified with us at that stage, so whatever products he was using, he thought it was all off. The water was sticking to the panel. He then he inspected it. There was no swirls. Fantastic. Didn't need to do anything. So he gave it a panel wipe, went to stick on the PPF, and it just wasn't sticking on him. And he's like, what the hell? So I looked through his paperwork, and he logged everything he'd done on the vehicles as part of his best practice. And he was like, what product did I put on this car? Oh, it was that garage therapy product. And that's what prompted him to contact us and say, what the F have you done?
This looks like something I need to get my hands on. This is interesting.
And the rest is history. I guess now he's certified with us and uses all our stuff. But that's one of the reasons why we haven't created the version 2, and it's 4 years old now.
Because it's performing fine.
We're not aiming to make it last a year.
No, you've got another product for that.
Exactly. That's not really what it's designed for. But it does its work well.
And can I use this as a wet application? Could I spray it onto the
No,
vehicle that's wet and then
no.
rinse off? No, this is a
Wet,
dry only application.
yeah. So that's why quick detailers are quick detailers,
Yeah,
because that's when you want to do a wet application of a product.
yeah,
Sigma, you can use it on as a wet application. That's fantastic. CS is a sealant, so you want
right.
the best bond. You want
Yeah,
it to do its job properly. You want the you want its longevity, 5-6
yeah,
months out of it, or so you want it to be applied on a dry surface.
gotcha. And so I'm just going back to the Sigma. So Sigma, you said you could spray that on wet. You could spray it on.
You can, yeah. It
Yeah.
works quite. Certainly, version 3 does. Brilliant. It's brilliant. Yeah.
And is that also? Can I layer it? So could I use that every week? Would it
Yes.
reject itself? Or
I think during our testing, I think we've got up to like 4 or 5 layers, but I think
every couple of months you'd want to use this.
You're losing the. We're a no nonsense company, so whilst it will be beneficial for me to say, yeah, just layer it on and use as much of it as possible, I don't believe in that. I believe in sound detailing best practices. I don't see why an enthusiast, a customer of ours, would differ from a professional detailer. So my question to them is, why do you want to constantly stack it? What you allow the product to protect and do its job for that 6 to 9 weeks that it's going to be on there, and then use it again. There is
use the quick detailer in between.
Exactly, and there is a benefit to doing multiple coats of it. Of course, when you wet apply, it's not as stout as if you applied it dry, purely because the film that you're putting on is obviously diluted and you're spreading it around a lot more. So there is a benefit to stacking it, but once you go over a couple of layers, I just don't see the point. To be honest with you, I think you've reached its max potential. You may gain more, but whether or not you visually see the differences.
And then we'll just finish up. You've got 3 ceramic coatings. I suppose you've got a 2-year, a 3-year, and a 5-year, and then you've got a hydrophobic topper. Is that right?
Yeah, we've actually got.
You got more on the website that I can't see, maybe.
Yeah, we haven't put all of our professional coatings on the website. Again, it's a failing of us as a company in terms of our website and everything like that. And we're managing people's expectations. I know if we put all of our pro stuff on the website, that we'll just get inundated with customers just saying, "Why can I have our pro stuff?
Why can't I have this? Why can't I have this?"
Exactly. Well, so we actually have, I think it's about 9 or 10 coatings now. I think I should know this, but I don't. So, so we've got 9 coatings. We have a top coat product, Chimera. V2. It's on version 2 now, which effectively can be used as a 1-year coating if you use it on that, because it does actually leave a layer, a resin layer behind. It's very easy to apply. Like it's borderline cheating when you apply it.
And why would I use that over the ceramic, your spray sealant? Ceramic
good
sealant.
Question. Yeah, very good question, because the application method is completely different to the ceramic sealant. So with a ceramic sealant, because it's a water-based product, you can be a lot more liberal in its application. You can apply it in various different environments.
It's more user-friendly, would you say?
It's more. It's questionable. There'll be some customers saying to us, "Oh, I find Chimera so much easier to apply." It's probably equal, I would say. There's different price points as well. So one price point is completely different to the other price point. That's another reason that ceramic sealant exists. You're applying with a foam block and a suede. The other one you're applying with microfiber, maybe pad or a microfiber towel. So there's pros and cons to using both. I'm going to stop there because I can talk about this for
fair enough
time. But we have Chimera V2. We have Ultherus, which is a PPF and paint coating.
Yeah.
You can use it for both. It's great on PPF and it's great on paint. It's actually a 3-year coating, but we do say it's a 2-year coating. If you do 2 layers, it's a 3-year coating quite easily. It's quite a flexible coating. I think for 90% of people that just want to try our coatings, that's what I recommend. Ultherus.
Yeah.
It's so easy to use and it gives amazing results. And then we have Cerberus, which is our 3-year plus coating.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Again, quite easy to install. You can, if you get some really weird like humidity or cold temperatures, I don't think it's hard coatings. You can get a little bit of drag sometimes in extremes, but it's a very, very easy coating to install.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we've got our pro coatings, which are
additional, which I can't see those because I can't log into that.
Yeah.
Would you say that the ceramic sealant, you could top that to any other ceramic coating? Is it going to bond to another ceramic coating or just yours?
It will. Yeah.
So
we haven't found a coating that's rejected it, and even the competitors' coatings, to be honest with you.
Okay. I think we've done a really good job of a massive deep dive into working out what the Garage Therapy brand is about. We talked earlier this morning for me and night for you that we'd stick this to about an hour. We're at 2 hours now.
Yeah. That happens, unfortunately, when I go on podcasts. So I really apologize in advance.
No, you're absolutely fine. I mean, I don't care. This is selfishly kind of about me deep diving and listening to people talk. And I think you find the best information from the rants and the offspring of the information. I think that's where you find the good stuff. I mean, people are probably going to look at the 2-hour podcast and go, I'm not watching that. But people who are really wanting to know about the brand will definitely dive into this and go, yep, this company is for me. And I think that's really important because there are so many detailing brands out there now that you can probably pick. I could give you 10 right now that you could go and pick right now, and you can't really go wrong. You get the job done. They'll deliver some degree of results. And I think what's more important is that it's probably about you finding a brand that your values align with, the people that you say, hey, look, I really like what these guys are doing. They're really being unique and a bit different, and I align with that. And that's probably the company that you're going to choose and go with. People who are telling you the honest story, people who are willing to come and talk to you about products, who are available to give you that information. I think that's more important about standing out from the crowd as opposed to some other brands who are behind closed doors and won't tell you about it. Because at the end of the day, I think if you can be personable and relatable, I think that's really, really helpful. And definitely by me speaking to you for the last 2 hours, there's definitely been proven that that's true with you guys.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate that. Just to finish off, as a brand, we believe we're a no-nonsense brand in respect. Yeah. So we really care about detailing as an industry. We care about the ethos of detailing, and as I was, I'm repeating myself here, but the processes, and we care about educating people. And every product that we work on and we release, we do it with the intention to help the professional, and then by proxy, it helps the enthusiast. And as best as we can as a company, we always aim to create the best of breed type product if we can do that. If we're fortunate enough to do that. And that's why we have various different versions, and that's why we never stop in terms of testing and developing new products and really pushing the boundaries of what modern chemistry can do.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, and that's great philosophy for your company to have that mindset. And I think you guys will end up doing well being like that. I think people will really appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope so.
All right, so I'm going to let you go because you probably need to go to bed now. It's nighttime for you, and I appreciate you staying up this late for me to talk to you and find out about the brand. And I'm going to go and have some breakfast because it's now mid-morning for me.
My absolute pleasure, and thank you for the invite and giving us the opportunity to tell you a little bit about GT. And nice to meet you, Glenn. Thank you.
Nice to meet you too. All right, you take care.
Cheers. Bye. Cheers, Glenn. Thank you.
See ya.